None of these are sponsored. Any supplies I used are not sponsored. I'm just doing this to help other riders in either electric bike or just your standard bipedal type of situation. But today we're going to put green slime in this Himiway Zebra, and with this being said, this is looks to be a 30 ounce, 32 full ounces, and I'm going to put about 10 to 15 ounces in each tire. And so let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and lift it up a little bit, and I'm going to get this just right. And I'm going to take my Schrader valve tool, which is like so. And a lot of these slime kits will come with a cap, and this cap can act like a Schrader valve. It's got a little groove in it here, and then just so matching grooves. But this is plastic. Sometimes they'll strip out, so I like using the metal one. But some of the spokes, like we just did my wife's Rambler, are so tight you can't use the metal one. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the metal one and stick it in here and just fit it until it dropped, just like so. And now I'm just going to unscrew.
Where do you get that metal valve?
You know, basically any parts store is going to have it. More like an O'Reilly, AutoZone type store is going to have that. I don't know if you're going to find these at bike stores.
And you just have it because you use it for...
I just have it because I have a lot of tools.
What else do you use that for?
This can, so I can screw this on here. It's got multiple functions, so
it's like a multi-function
yeah,
knife.
if I wanted to, this is a threader, so if I wanted to, you know, go in here and rethread it, it does that. If I need to, you know, rethread something over here, I've got a little point, so it does multiple things. I've only had to use it for a Schrader. So for the slime, I've already fastened it to the top of the bottom. There's like a little cone there, and for this side, you basically just slide it on. So I'm going to go ahead and hold it with one hand while I slide it on here. Since this is the fourth or the third tire I'm doing, I've got the rubber still on. And then now I just basically squeeze the bottle. There's a gauge right here with your ounces on most bottles. So right now it's a little hard to see, so I'm just going to start pumping it in, because the green slime not only covers the inside of your tube and helps your tube from going flat or having to change your tube. I always carry an extra tube anyway, but this just really helps with not having to change your tire or your tube while you're out riding. It just makes it more enjoyable, because no one really likes having to do that. So I'm going to let some more,
especially with these big tires and then the e-bike motor on the back.
So go ahead and stick this back on because it kind of jammed up in there. So let's throw some more in here. Yeah, that's probably enough anyway. So throw that back in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the back. And then once we're all done, there's a little trick to filling these fat tires. So I'll show you that when we go to fill it. Actually, let's just go ahead and do it right now.
How are those different than the other tires?
Well, since you have basically a 4-inch wheel or frame here, it's a little harder to get round. I always do that with the regular 26, 27, or 29-inch 2-inch tires. So you want to fill it. Just make sure it's even all around, because sometimes you'll get the little lip on the bead wanting to pop out. So you can see there's a little ridge here, but there's no ridge here. So I'm just going to kind of, so I don't know if you can see how it's out around there, so I'm going to have to let some air out again. And
Definitely a little more tricky than the tires on the Rambler.
Yeah. See if I can let some air out without the juice coming out, the green juice or slime. And a lot of times that happens because when it was sitting, it was down on the lower side. So I'm just gonna squeeze this on both sides, kind of turn it, and let's see now the ribs come out. And now we can go ahead and fill it. But if you don't do that now, you're gonna go along the road and it's just gonna bounce on the road. You definitely don't want to overfill these or underfill them, so I think it recommends 20 pounds. I just do them as I fill them and whatever's good for myself. All right, so one side's done. Now I'm just going to repeat that in the back. So pull this over here and situate this on an angle. Take off the inner tube cap to the Schrader valve. And one thing that I would recommend is when you have the Presta valves, which is another style tube, these don't fit real well on those because they're made for the regular Schrader valve. So when you're picking out a tube, make sure you're going to have a connection that fits on those. So I'm going to go ahead again, throw this on here, fit it on like so, hold it out, push it on, and just put in about 10 to 15 ounces. So I'm pushing pretty hard, it's filling up pretty quick. Again, this is just a time saver, so when you're out riding, you're enjoying the ride and not having to maintain the tubes or take the tires off. I do always take tools to change the tires. I have them in my kit up here. Both the tire irons, usually I carry about 4 of those, and in this case it's a 15 millimeter with a actual 15 millimeter socket with a socket wrench. So instead of an open end wrench, because again, an open wrench, you're fighting the gears, you're fighting everything around it. Where if you just have a socket, click, 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 off, you're done. Flip it over and change the tire. And there's a whole nother story and video for that, because with this one, it's got a 750 watt motor. You have to disconnect the motor. Might as well take some zip ties, because you have to zip tie the cables. But that's a story for a different day. So now, before I get it too much, I can already see that I'm gonna have to do some adjusting here. See, this is in too far.
You can see it right there too.
So I'm gonna see the bulge right here.
Oh yeah.
So there's different tricks to this.
So it's pretty simple, but it still is.
There's a little bit to the fat tire bikes, yeah. So I'm gonna bring this back up here, let some air out. And you need to let the air out when this is up, or because if you do it down there, it's going to squirt out your green slime. So, and when I'm turning it, I just kind of push it on the kickstand. So now I'm going to bring this up here, and you just basically just push it, push in here, and then I'm also pushing in from the bottom, so I can get the lip back out. And then I'm doing the opposite here. I'm going to pull it, make sure it does it on both sides. So when people say that you know, there's not a technique for mechanics, and granted, I am definitely not a mechanic, but you want to do this now so you're not bumping it down the road later. And still have a little bit more to do. So let's go ahead and throw some air in here to see if it fixes some stuff here. Still out on the back side over here. So this whole back side popped out. And this is just one of the things to keep in mind when you're doing this, that it's not a quick thing. You still have to be precise. And I'm going to have to let quite a bit of air out on this, because you can see right here, it's all popped out from the bead. So, go back over here. Yeah, push. Okay, I think that's got it in. Now let's see if third time's a charm. And that can happen with overinflation too. So, yeah, I think we're good to go there. And now I'm going to go ahead and don't forget to put the cap on. And then for me, I'm going to suck this back in, and I'm going to wash this cap off, and then I'll be able to store it. There's a little lip right there. I'll put that in there. Put this cap back on here, and it'll be good in case I need more in the future. Again, you can just buy the smaller tubes or the smaller bottles, and you would use one per tire. And then this is then there are mid-sized bottles, but this is the biggest I could find. So 32 full ounces. But again, 6 to 10 ounces in the smaller tubes. This is not a smaller one, so we did about 10 to 15 in each. There we go. And thanks for going to Greg's Garage, and I hope this helps.